What's going on, guys? It's just in, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about Chris Benoit. As you guys may not know, or some of you should know or would know, it's 5-year anniversary since the death of the murder, suicide death of Chris Benoit. In my opinion, on a personal side, he's a fucking bastard. Should fucking rot in hell for killing his family. On a wrestling side, I think he was one of the best submission experts of all time. But don't get me wrong, I'm not putting that against the death because, by far he's a bigger fucker than he is a fucking professional wrestler. But I remember when this actually happened. I remember ordering the pay-per-view and watching the pay-per-view, and it sort of had this weird kind of feel to it right off the bat, even though we didn't know at the time what had happened, because it kind of happened in the evening and wasn't really announced till Monday, when they sort of did they started to do a Raw tribute to Chris Benoit, but then sort of like halfway through they cut it because they actually found out that it was a murder. So that Raw was really weird too. But the Sunday night, I think it was Night of Champions, watching it, Chris Benoit was supposed to be there. I believe he was supposed to go against Kurt Angle, but the whole night it just seemed really, a really off night. And I think because some of the wrestlers had already gotten texts from Chris Benoit, not knowing what was up with him, what the circumstances of him not being there and no-showing this event, especially since at the time he wasn't really someone to no-show events. And then, of course, to find out that, the murder had happened and the death had happened and the suicide had happened and all the crazy shit that went down, that was later on in the evening. It's just, I could only imagine what some of these wrestlers were going through. Like, people like Ric Flair supposedly had received a certain, like 5 texts from Benoit or something like that. But I guess we'll never know exactly what the texts or that stuff said. But I know there were some wrestlers that were said to have received texts throughout the day from Benoit. But it's one of those things where if this incident hadn't happened, a lot of the stuff that happens nowadays wouldn't be there. Like, would the drug policy plan be in effect if Chris Benoit hadn't have committed suicide and killed his family? Would some of the wrestlers still be in WWE right now had this event not happened? Because, some of them had to leave due to drug policy problems. And if Benoit hadn't have died, Chris Nowinski, the ex-wrestler of WWE that went on to form that medical building or whatever the fuck it was that studied the brain and steroids effects and concussions and shit like that. If he hadn't have gone after the WWE and wrestling in general, would circumstances be different? Would we have different wrestlers in the company right now? Would we have bigger wrestlers? Would some of the wrestlers on the actual roster right now be bigger? John Cena, I'm not going to say that he did steroids, but he was a lot bigger when he was in OVW and when he was a bodybuilder. Even like Batista and people like that really seemed to tone down a lot when the drug policy went into effect. So, is it a good thing that the drug policy had to go in effect? Not to say that it's a good thing that all this shit happened, but, does it give us more pure wrestling knowing that these individuals are not necessarily on drugs? Some of them still might be, and somehow magically beyond the terms of the company sneaking by the system. But at the same time, like I said, if this event had not happened, where would the WWE be right now? I just wanted to reflect on, 5 years ago this happening. Like I said, the Monday Night Raw following was kind of a weird Raw too, because they started having all these tribute matches to Benoit, and then literally like maybe 40 minutes into the show, it cut and just went into regular matches. It was like all of a sudden someone backstage found out that it was a murder-suicide and was like, fuck this, we're not doing it anymore. We're not doing any tribute to him. Just let the matches fucking be. And it was just, that was definitely a weird Raw too, because it's one of those Raws you're never going to see on television. And for the longest time, you didn't even see Chris Benoit matches on television. The WWE On Demand channel would edit out every single Chris Benoit segment. They wouldn't want to show him at all. And it's weird because, even though this happened, there were such significant parts of wrestling history that had Chris Benoit in it. Certain parts of WCW with the Horsemen, his matches with Booker T, his best out of 7 matches, just his matches with Kurt Angle. But I'm not putting that aside. I'm not putting the murders aside. Definitely, like I said, he's a fucking asshole. Should rot in hell for the murders. But on a wrestling scale, he was one of the best wrestlers, in my opinion. What else? Do I think he's ever going to go into the Hall of Fame? I don't think he will ever go into the Hall of Fame. Even if you watch back when he was wrestling, Jim Ross used to always say, oh, he's going to go into the Hall of Fame. But this was, of course, before the murder went down. Chris Benoit would never be in the Hall of Fame. Trust me on that. And if he did, you know how much shit would fucking be stirred up for WWE if they put him in the fucking Hall of Fame? I'm just saying. Anyways, you guys let me know what you guys think about this 5 years after Chris Benoit's death. Comment below, and I'll catch you guys later. One love, man love, peace.